Hi, everyone, and welcome back to KIRSTIcast and the Shiro Spotlight. I have a really special guest today. She's a really interesting person, and I can't wait for you to hear all about what she's doing in her life and what she's done. She's really a cool lady, and I'm excited to have her on this month because it's Women History Month, and I really believe she is a woman that is really making history. So I hope you'll be inspired by her. Well, let me tell you a little bit about her. She graduated as a philologist from the Universidad Nacional de Colombia. So she is now a published Colombian American poet. And her works include books Esta Soy and In the Prism of Your Soul. And her poetry and writings have appeared in many online magazines and international publications. She's also translated books that include Life in the Shadow of the Swastika and Honoring God with My Life, just to name a few. And she's also been a co-writer with five other Latin poets in the book, The Fragrance of Water. Her poetry has won many awards, and she resides in Charlotte, North Carolina. And her next book coming out is Coffee, Love, and the American Dream. I love that title. That's so interesting. So please welcome to the show, Kirma Moraine. Hi, Kirma. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. And you look beautiful with your beautiful flower in your hair and your red. You were saying that your country has the most beautiful flowers.
Yeah, we produce everything. We have the rainforest, and we have the mountains, we have valleys, we have everything. So there is a festival every year actually in Medellin that there is this a group of people called silleteros, and I don't know if there is a translation for that in English, but they carry huge flower arrangements on their backs, and you can see them from the buildings. I think the United States imports a lot of our roses every year.
Oh, how interesting. Well, I'd love to see that. That's probably, first when you said that, I thought you were going to say, and you can see them from miles away. It sounded like, wow, it's so colorful. You could see it from far away. That's so cool. Well, what inspired you to be a philologist? And if you can, please tell me and the listeners exactly what that is, because I know it's something to do with language.
Yes. When I was growing up, I had three main interests. One was exercise. I was always doing something, playing soccer, playing basketball, doing gymnastics. But before there was technology, there were books. And during those times when I was a little girl, my mother used to buy my brother and I a lot of books. So he and I used to read all the time.
Oh, great.
That gave me this love for literature. So that was my second passion. And the other one was that my father, I don't know exactly what his work was when I was growing up, but he always had these guests at the house, and they spoke several languages.
Wow.
Like I could hear German here, French on that side, English here. And I was like, what is this? These people are extraterrestrials. So I always wanted to learn another language, and if possible, more than one. And I got to learn one. Philologist is the study of languages. So my major is English, and English is a second language. Okay. And at the university, I had the opportunity to take some language classes in Portuguese, French, German. I think, those were the three languages that I studied. And later I studied a little bit of Italian.
Well, stop there, because that's way too many languages. No, I'm kidding.
But I don't speak them.
But you still studied about them. And you know what I think is so interesting? I remember buying my mom a book once, which talked about the interpretation of different words and how certain words and phrases came to be. And I think that is so interesting. And I think about things that my grandparents used to say, like slogans or little different little phrases. And I just think it's so interesting to think how that develops in language, how people speak a completely different language. They go to another country where language is different, and then somehow they have to communicate, and we all figure out how to do it somehow, don't we?
Yeah, that is a miracle.
It
And
is.
also, well, I only speak two languages, but I realized that a language is a feeling too. You feel one way when you speak Spanish, you feel another way when you speak English, and there are certain words that are so ingrained in just one culture that you
Yeah.
can speak in another culture, and there is when I have this creative, or I have to use my creativity when I'm doing translations, because there
Yeah.
are words that don't translate. So I have to find ways to give the same idea.
Sure. Sure. And it's so interesting what you said that about in different languages, because I've always been envious of people that are in Latin cultures. And, everything's wrapped around that culture, like the music, the language, the family, the food. It's like all in one big thing. And I know a lot of people want to come to America and live in America. It's such a big melting pot. But even when I was a little girl growing up, and my dad's side of the family was Italian, and just how it'd be like an enclave of people, and some of my older relatives spoke Italian, and I even knew a girl in high school whose family never spoke English at their house, and she had an accent.
That happened.
She was born American, but she had an accent because her family only spoke Italian in their home. So I always thought that was so cool. And it
Yeah,
sounds like music, because language is a rhythm, and words are a rhythm, and that's a big process for myself when I write songs. Is that I love to write from the rhythm of the words, because I think they can really shape a melody. And that brings me to a question I had for you about what is your creative process as a poet?
I never think about it because words come to me the weirdest moments. I just write.
So you
I
just
just
stream write, you just let it flow.
I do. However, I've been commissioned to write some poems, so that changes my process, or whatever I do. I think one of the first times I was commissioned to write a poem was for Flag of Hope, with the Colombian artist who lives here. Edwin Gill is his name, and he collected thousands of handprints from North Carolina and put them on a ginormous flag.
Yeah.
So he had to write a poem for the flag, and the process was, first of all, he told me a lot about his project, that he wanted to bring the community together, and flags. Every country has one, so there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow, that's interesting. Well, what
yeah,
inspired you to become a poet? Just the whole thing of language, or
my mother gave me a book by a Chilean poet. Her name was Gabriela Mistral. And I was listening to you when you were saying the rhythm of the words, the music. Well, I'm not a singer, and I didn't know that I was reading poetry either, but it sounded like it had a rhythm, and I just fell in love with that.
yeah.
So, at a very young age, maybe I was 4 years old, I started writing little notes to my mother, and I
Oh,
tried to make them rhyme, and maybe they sounded just awful, but that's how I started, just writing little notes to my mom, whom I loved so much. So that was my
oh,
beginning. And once I was at school, and my friends started to become interested on what I was writing,
mhm.
I was like, oh, okay, this is good.
Oh, wow. Well, I remember back in school, in junior high, I had a really cool English teacher. I always loved my English teachers. The ones I had, I got lucky. They were all really interesting people. And this one teacher, she made us do a poetry notebook. And so I sometimes think that might have been like my first foray into writing. That's what got me turned on about writing a little bit, was the words. And I always loved the American poet Robert Frost, because of the kind of things he wrote about. And it really moved me. So I know what you mean by that. And, I started trying to write when I was about 16, probably. So probably like you, I was writing letters or, trying to write poems or something like that, but I wasn't super serious about it. I just was interested.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So something I'd love to ask all of my guests is, what is your stay inspired story? And that's a story that can be anything about your life or your career, something that happened to you that really impacted you, that stayed with you.
When my friends and teachers started to put a little bit of pressure on me to publish a poetry book.
Huh?
Well, I needed money for that, and sometimes I thought it wasn't feasible. But I had this idea of creating bonuses that people could buy. Like, this bonus will give you a book in maybe 6 months or something like that.
Wow, that was a good idea.
I went to a radio station and I talked about this idea, and unknowingly I received many phone calls. And during that time, the most important newspaper in Colombia, El Tiempo, they called me also for an interview. So that was really amazing. I never thought people would be interested in poetry, like not that many people.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's great.
I had the opportunity to go to different neighborhoods and give them my bonus, and then we just launched the book at my university, at Universidad Nacional, and people collected their books. So that was like, made me believe in myself and made me believe that everything is possible if you
Yeah.
just go out there.
Yeah.
Everything is possible.
It's so
Just
true. It's
yes.
so true. If you put it out there, and that's always been one of my things in consulting with, different writers and artists and different. My big thing has been trying to help girls and women, of course, and is that you have to do it. You have to get like around yourself and not be afraid, because if you would have never done that, how would you have ever known how many people would be interested in poetry? And
Yes.
and how many people you moved from that, and who knows how you touched somebody. And that's the beautiful thing to me, is just the mystery of that, and how would we touch people and make them be inspired to go do something else in their life. It's like the biggest pay it forward you could ever do,
Mhm. Yes.
so that's really a nice story. I love that. So tell us a little bit about your new book, Coffee, Love, and the American Dream. I love that title.
Yeah, the book is already out in Spanish, so I am working on the English translation. So in Spanish, it's called Café, Amor y el Sueño Americano.
Oh,
Yeah, I started writing blogs a few years ago, and I basically compiled some of those blogs in the book. But some of the stories are the story behind the poem, like when I lived in Colombia. So I wrote a beautiful poem about that. But now the story of the poem is there too. And coffee, because we drink a lot of coffee. Colombians are well known for their coffee, and we just can't go through the day without our coffee. So
yeah.
talk about that too.
I
And
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I should have had you recite or read one of your poems or part of your poem. I would love to hear one of your
oh,
poems in Spanish. That would be so beautiful.
in Spanish,
Or whatever. What language is your book in? What language is your span? I think you said it was in Spanish.
it is it's in Spanish, but some of the poems I had written in English.
Oh, okay. I
I
won't
don't
hold that against you.
think. I've been living in the United States for almost 17 years. And yeah, you start dreaming, thinking, doing everything in another language. So I started writing in
Yeah.
English. So surprisingly, some of the poems were in English, and I had to translate them into Spanish. So it's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good. I love that.
I remember it might be a little long, so I'm just gonna say a little piece because well, my boyfriend, we met during the pandemic, and we didn't see each other for 7 weeks
Oh my word.
before we met. So for 7 weeks, all we did was text, phone calls, and that was it. So finally, there was this. The governor opened the city. Well, kind of phase one of opening the city. We could meet. So we met at a park, and we had coffee. But those 7 weeks gave me this poem, and I remember, if you want, I can tell you the beginning. The thing is that I was on this couch talking to him, and he was in his house on his couch talking to
Talking
me.
to you.
I almost titled this poem "The Couch Poem," but
Oh,
it didn't sound very romantic.
that's cute. I like that though.
Yeah. So it says right here on this couch. Years ago, that started yesterday. I remember the birth of the greatest love, when the waves of your voice began to caress the shores of my body, and your lustful eyes sturdily stared at me from a screen. Years ago, that started yesterday, we uttered our names and the whole world heard us, starting with God, who brought a pandemic, so we could focus on each other, so we could learn from each other, so the compassion once we gave to our families would feed us, waking up memories to invite ghosts to our gatherings. On this couch, memories flew, confessions were made, secrets were whispered, silences were shared. And the rest you have to read on the book because it's a
That
long.
is so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I love that. And the waves of your voice came to the shore of my body. That is,
Yes.
oh my
I
gosh, I have got to get a
really
copy of your
fell
book.
in love. I really fell in love without knowing him. So that was something that is always a first time, no matter your age.
Yeah.
So first time I fall in love with somebody
I'm so
without.
I'm in tears over here. I'm so touched by that. That is so pretty. And because I know your boyfriend, it even makes it more special because he's such a great person, and I'm
Yeah,
so glad you guys found each other. That's really really nice. So
thank you.
where can people buy your book?
It is on Amazon. It is on Amazon right now, and it is in two versions: paper and Kindle. So if you have one of these devices, you can just get the Kindle and read it on yours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really, really beautiful. I really mean it. I love it. I love it. You're
And the English
welcome.
version is coming this summer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Well, I always ask my guests this too. What is your power word or phrase? Like, what's a word that's just like for you?
Well, for many years, I thought I couldn't speak in public. um, so, and I work it out with my therapist, and
Ah, or you write about it in your poems, maybe, huh?
yeah, I just wrote it down, but I didn't spoke. Uh, it was just one of those silly fears because it's not everything is human, so why not to
Yeah.
talk to them?
Yeah.
So my therapist slash friend gave me this phrase that says, "It is your words are powerful."
Oh, nice. That's so true.
Yeah, so I look at myself in the mirror and I say, "Your words are powerful," and yeah.
That's a great affirmation. I love that. I think so many people need to hear that these days because, words are really power. And my mom used to always say, once it's out there, you can't get it back. So
Yes.
you need to think about with what kind of grace you speak.
Yeah, be careful.
Yes, be careful. So finish this sentence for me. Today, I'm most grateful for.
Love.
Oh, nice.
I never thought it would happen. My 50th birthday was last year. I never thought this happened. Being half century old, I never imagined I would meet the love of my life.
Oh,
Be-
that's beautiful.
I thought, okay, I had boyfriends, I had one husband. So I guess this is it. So if I die alone, I die alone, and I'm fine with that. So surprisingly, uh, this man came to my life, and we both have been very very happy since.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm so glad you are. You look very happy. You've got a big smile on your face. And I know that you have some really cool things happening. I know your image is part of a mural or something that's going on in Charlotte. Can you talk about that a little bit, or hasn't it been unveiled yet?
Oh, well, it's not a secret. There is this artist from Costa Rica. Her name is Irisol Gonzalez, and she's making a big mural talking about machismo, which it's very typical in our countries.
Mm.
Well, not only Latin American countries, but in many countries around the world. So I am one of the models for this mural, and all the women in the mural are washing their hands. Like,
Okay.
uh, we are letting this happen. So we are washing our hands. Uh, so I don't want to reveal a lot about it. There is a lot of meaning behind the symbols that she uses
Okay.
on her mural. But I think also this summer this is going to be in one of the walls of Charlotte. But also I've been commissioned to write a poem for a different mural in the city, also with the same artist, Irisol Gonzalez.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, I've been reading my boyfriend around about this poem that I'm writing for another mural. So that's happening soon.
That's very exciting. Well, Charlotte, I used to spend a lot of time over there. I haven't been there in a while, but I haven't been anywhere in a while. But Charlotte is really becoming a real happening place for the arts and culture and everything. So that's great that you're there on the cusp of all that.
Yes, and there is so much culture, and you can hear all these languages. You just go to the supermarket and you hear all the languages. It's just
Yeah,
I I love it.
it's very international.
Yes,
That's
it's
really cool. Well,
it's
where can
not.
listeners find you online? You said your book is at Amazon. Where do you have a website that people can see or?
Well, yeah, I write my blogs on WordPress, so it's kermamorain.wordpress.com. And sometimes I post little snips of poetry on my Instagram, which is my name,
Okay.
Rain, and my Facebook page, also my name, Kerma Morain, poet.
Well, that is so exciting. Well, this has been such a pleasure to meet you and to get to talk to you. And I just will never forget you reciting the part of that poem. I love it. And it means a lot to me too, because I know your boyfriend and I know what a great person he is. And you're so beautiful and have a beautiful spirit. And so I know you guys are really inspiring each other and liking and loving each other, because I really believe in relationships that like is so important. Love is important, but you really have to like somebody and like them to the core. And that's how relationships are strong, I believe. So,
Yeah, we feed from each other. We give each other ideas. We give each other encouragement. But we laugh at each other.
Yeah.
So it's been a great relationship.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, Kerma, it's really been a pleasure having you on the show, and I hope that you get to come back sometime. I want to wish you much success with all your creativity because it's it's really unique, and I hope you have a great time this summer unveiling the poem that goes with that mural, and we'll look for more success from you. Thank you so much to Kerma Moraine, and we're going to be right back, so don't go away.